things aren't looking good for the Miami Heat. Last year, the Heat did the impossible. Throughout the entire season, they were in and out of the playoffs. They would then sneak their way into the play-in tournament, but they would lose the first game and were now one game away from being eliminated from the playoffs. They would beat the Bulls, and this is where the story was supposed to end. The 8 seed Heat stood no chance of beating the Milwaukee Bucks. People expected the Heat to roll over and accept defeat. But Jimmy Buckets and the Heat had other plans. They would beat the Bucks in 5 games. Then, they would cruise by the New York Knicks with ease. Versus Celtics, they would take a 3-0 lead, but the Celtics would fight back and tie the series. The Celtics had all the momentum going into Game 7. This was the end of the Heat's magical playoff run. There was no way in hell the Heat would win. Now enter Caleb Martin, the unexpected hero for the Heat who had the game of his life. The Heat were going to the finals, but sadly, they ran into a force of nature, Nikola Jokic, and got embarrassed. Despite the Heat making it all the way to the NBA Finals, they had major holes in their roster. Many people believe they needed a third star or true point guard to get over the hump. Well, the basketball gods must have heard Heat fans' prayers because Damian Lillard would request a trade to the Heat. This would have been a match made in heaven. The Heat are always inconsistent on the offensive end. If Jimmy's not putting up 40 plus points or role player isn't going off, the game becomes very gritty. As for Dame, his struggles are on the defensive end. He's one of the worst perimeter defenders and isn't super tall. The Heat are always one of the best defensive teams in the entire NBA. In last year's playoffs, they were the 3rd best defense, only falling short to teams like the Nuggets and Lakers. Dame was the perfect player the Heat needed, but Pat Riley had other plans. He didn't just want to acquire Dame, he wanted to finesse Dame from the Blazers for as cheap as possible. Then there was an ongoing war between the Blazers front office and the Heat front office, with Dame saying he only wanted to play for the Heat. This made other teams hesitant to trade for him. Pat Riley had the Blazers right where he wanted them, but Joe Cronin refused to budge, and he waited. After months of there being little to no traction between the Heat and Blazers, Dame was finally traded. But it wasn't to the Heat, it was to the Bucks. The Heat had striked out on another superstar level player who wanted to play for them. Earlier in the offseason, they had a chance to snag Bradley Beal from the Wizards, but they were too focused on getting Lillard. However, those two players weren't the biggest loss. During last year's trade deadline, the drama in Brooklyn was heating up. Out of the blue, Kyrie Irving requested a trade. Then Kevin Durant would also request a trade, and Durant would give the Nets front office a list of teams he wanted to go to, and at the top of that list was the Miami Heat. I also think Pat Riley is building a bad reputation among other GMs. Him and Danny Ainge have hated each other for a long time. The Blazers GM also refused to even consider the Heat offer for Drew Holiday after all the Dame drama. And if you think GMs and owners don't hold grudges when it comes to making trades, you're just flat out wrong. Earlier this year, we saw the Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai refused to trade Kyrie Irving to the Lakers out of pettiness, which pissed off a lot of Laker fans, so I was cool with it. I also think Pat Riley was overvaluing his assets like Tyler Hero. The Heat think Tyler Hero can be the 3rd best player on a championship team, but the consensus around the league is Tyler Hero at best is your 6th man. That's the role that best suits his skill set, but he wants to get the glory of a starter. Now, taking a look at the Heat's offseason, it looks really bad. They added players like Ame Jaquez, Thomas Bryant, and Josh Richardson, but they lost key players like Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and Victor Oladipo. Oladipo's not that big of a loss, but Strus and Vincent are. Vincent provided the Heat with another ball handler and shooter. Last year, he averaged 9 points and 2 assists. Max Strus, on the other hand, gave them elite level shooting on decent defense. The Heat lost a good amount of depth between these two players. If Duncan Robinson was having a bad shooting night, Strus would often come in and save the day. This was the Heat's mentality of next man up, but now they don't really have that. They also don't have a lot of young players who are suited for win now basketball. Another thing is, teams around the Heat got a lot better. The Bucks were able to get Damian Lillard. If you go back to the Bucks vs Heat series, scoring was a major issue for the Bucks. Another team that got a lot better better were the Celtics. They were able to get Jrue Holiday and Tingus Pingus. Last year, the Heat almost lost to the Celtics, so I can no longer confidently say they have a legit shot against them. I could even see the Heat missing the playoffs completely. In last year's regular season, they dealt with a lot of injuries. Jimmy Butler misses a lot of time this season, they will end up missing the playoffs. However, I will say this. The Heat always find a way to prove people wrong. Every time you count them out, they figure out a way to win. They're also one of the largest markets in the NBA, and NBA players want to play for them. And who knows, if things go south in Philly, they could snag Joel Embiid. Or if the Bulls decide to blow it up, they could flip Tyler Hero for Zach LaVine.